Live.com. That's right. Welcome to the Couch Live here on Rock100DIZ.com. And, of course, WWNN 1470 radio out there. Where is it? Pompano Beach, Florida. And Holistic Lifestyles Radio. That's HolisticLifestylesRadio.com. This is the YouTube segment brought to you in part or sponsored by www.dlmsuccess.usana.com. That's dlmsuccess.usana.com. They sponsor this YouTube segment of the Couch Live. I am the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado, certified addictions professional, and of course Dr. Hoffman is on my phone right here. He's the co-host, and then our new co-host is Denise McLean Solis, Backstreet Mom. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, and we asked everybody to send in. We're talking about using dreams today on the Couch Live. We're talking about using dreams, and you can see the captain. Captain, can you just put a hand over here like this? Right here. There you go. There's his hand. All right, that's enough for you. And anyway, we're talking about using dreams because a lot of people out there have using dreams or have had using dreams and didn't know how to really explain them, or what does it do to your recovery? What does it mean about your recovery? So I asked somebody to send in something, and they did. So let's go over this. JW sent in this dream. First using dream at 11 months clean. I had a dream that I bought some Xanax off a younger kid in recovery. He was on a lot of Xanax at the time when I bought them. I only took a few. The next day, the kid went to my parents for stealing the money. I gave it to him, but he did not remember it. My father came to me at that time, just as he did when I was 20 years old, and I swore to him, just as I did back then, that it was not my fault. He again accused me of using. We had a knockdown, drag-out fight just like the day before I was arrested. This time, I did use, but did not steal. When I was 20 years old, 18 years ago, I was not using or lying, but my father had no reason to believe me. The physical fighting and using troubles me. I have had peace and serenity for 11 months, and this was truly vivid. JW. All right, JW, I'm going to have Denise Solis tell us her interpretation of it, since that's one of her things she does, one of her expertises.
Expertises?
Okay, go ahead, Denise.
It's in my repertoire.
It is.
Okay. The first of all, what I do want to say about any dream is that the first thing you should do when you have the dream is definitely write it down so you remember certain details, like is it black and white? Is it in... Thank you.
Sorry about that. Always turn your cell phones off when you're doing the show.
Is it in color? Is it in black and white? Because colors represent things in dreams. Mm-hmm. And the second thing I would say is that not all dreams are literal. In other words, the things that you have, the pictures, the people that you meet, certain things, don't think of them as this happened, so this is, definitely what is happening now. It's a manifestation of what's happening in your life. This particular one is not, since he's 11 months clean.
Yeah, he's 11 months clean.
I'm thinking that, first of all, the first thing that popped in my head right away was the younger kid in recovery is probably himself.
Okay.
So that right away talks about inner turmoil, which is, of course, natural for someone in recovery. You're always worried about using, relapsing, so that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Obviously, he's got issues with his father. That's really comes out big time in the dream, that he still has some issues with his father that he needs to talk over, get counseling for, do something, or just sit down and have a face-to-face with his dad if he's still around.
Okay.
And the other thing is the fighting, again, the whole deal about having the knockdown, drag-out, is again dealing with inner turmoil and not wanting to face some realities. Drugs on their own in a dream represent obsessive behaviors. That's a no-brainer pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's also about control and the things that you normally deal with, when you're awake.
Yeah.
As whether you're using or in recovery, it's the same thing. Your brain is manifesting it into a dream to either help you focus on what are the specific issues I need to deal with here. One, in this, again, my father, my inner turmoil that I'm afraid I'm going to use again, all this. He says at the end that it's vivid. I'm thinking that's probably because there's color involved. And again, that really makes a difference in a dream. I wish he had written down the colors or whether it was in black and white. The stealing part, that represents unfulfilled goals. That he's not where he really wants to be, maybe in his recovery, or other life issues, other goals that he's set for himself. So, and actually dealing or selling or buying drugs can represent just basic changes in your life. So he he's in turmoil, wants to make that change, hasn't come to that conclusion yet of how to do it maybe exactly, and maybe one of the things that's bothering him is the fact of the issues with his father.
Wow. That was pretty good. How you'd like to add anything to that, Dr. Hoffman? Can't.
I wouldn't add anything to that other than the fact that using dreams in general are going to be much more common after somebody gets into certainly at least early recovery. Because you got to remember that people who are using, whether it's alcohol or drugs, when they're in their active use, are hammering themselves to sleep.
Yeah.
So they have an abnormal sleep pattern to begin with.
Yeah, man.
Because they're so sedated, while they're sleeping when they're using, that really they have no chance of remembering their dreams to begin with. Very few people dream when they're in active use.
Yeah.
Because they're so sedated. So it's much more common that they'll have dreams in general, using or otherwise, once they get into recovery, because they're actually, sleeping in a more natural pattern, especially after the first month. And once their sleep pattern becomes more normalized, and so dreaming and therefore using dreams become more normal after you get into early recovery.
Well, I must still be sedated then, because I still don't remember my dreams. Woo!
So,
still recovering.
So that's going to be a more normal pattern for everyone. And so using dreams, even though they're, more concerning and more scary to the person in recovery, dreaming in general is going to become more normal because they're having more normal sleep patterns or sleeping more, more lightly, if you will.
Awesome.
So this is all more common as their brain chemistry gets more normal.
Right. And see what kind of triggered my head is, and you hit on it, Denise. You hit on it. What I was thinking. I was thinking about the father issue, and the unresolved issues with the father. That obviously there's this issue he needs to deal with in counseling, like you said, or also talk to your sponsor, talk to your support system in relation to that, because it sounds like Dad may still be alive. Because I'm gonna guess that if Dad was not alive, it would have mentioned it would have sounded like past tense in a way that it would have said that Dad's not around or and stuff. So I'm thinking Dad's still around. You can still approach him. I would recommend that you do. Maybe talk to Dad about that incident. What I learned is a lot of time the way you recall the incident when you were younger, while you were using, is not necessarily the way it happened, or maybe they don't remember it the same. Well, what I love is when I go to my family and I kind of recall certain incidences when I was younger, and I tell it to them, they usually don't even remember it even happened. They're like, what? And then when I went and did all my apologies, my amends, it was the same thing. I was like, oh man, I want to apologize. And they're like, for what? And you were fine. It's like, wow, man. My head made it so dramatic. It was such a dramatic situation in my life, or to me, but it wasn't so dramatic for them. And abuse is one of those things, just so y'all know, abuse is one of those things that it's interpreted. So if you interpret it as abuse, it was abuse. It's not necessarily they have to admit that they abused you or they did anything wrong to you. If you interpret it that way, it was. So you can go back and reinterpret it based on what you now know. Remember to always treat the persons you're discussing things with as the person they are now, not always as the person they were, because 10, 20 years later, this sounds like, a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a long time ago. And if you're still holding something in, maybe it's time to just let some of that go. And I would deal with a little letting go. And definitely step work is definitely going to help you.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, definitely don't be so hard on yourself. So anyway, thank you very much, Denise. That was our first dream interpretation, well, other than when you were a guest on the show, now as a co-host. So we appreciate that. Remember, our sponsors are the following: dlmsuccess.usana.com. We have soberdoc.com, which is the website for Dr. Kent Hoffman. If you're going through any kind of using and you want to get recovery, go to soberdoc.com. Of course, the official website for this show is thedopedoctor.com. You can go to that and you can see what's going on with the show. And Denise's site is
www.starbeamcoaching.com.
That's starbeamcoaching.com. So thanks to everybody at holisticlifestylesradio.com. Thanks to WWNN 1470 down in Pompano Beach. And, of course, our home, our station right here, rock100diz.com. This was The Couch Live. This is The Dope Doctor. We'll see you at the next YouTube segment. Bye-bye.